Is the MG3 the right car for you? Well, if you're in a very tight budget, it could well be, but there's some things you ought to know before you buy one of these cars. Stay tuned to find out more. G'day, I'm Matt, and in this review we're going to be looking at the MG3, which has become Australia's most popular cheap car. Basically because most other brands have abandoned this part of the market. So, is it any good? And should you buy one? Well, this review is going to help you make that decision. Before we get into it, thanks for checking out my new channel, and if you are interested in anything in particular, be sure to let me know in the comments section below if there's a review you want me to do. And also, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, it helps a lot. Thanks. The MG3 is going to be the right price for a lot of people out there because, well, basically it's bloody cheap compared to a lot of its rivals. The base model starts at $18,990 drive away, which makes it one of Australia's most affordable new cars. If you want that base model but you want sat-nav, it's going to cost you an extra $500, and if you want this version, which is called the Excite, it's going to cost you $20,500 drive away. And for that you're going to get extras like 16-inch alloy wheels, body coloured mirrors, a rear spoiler, and some things inside the cabin that help differentiate it from the lower grade versions. All models come with halogen headlights, which isn't terrific, but they do come with these signature LED daytime running lights, which they call the London Eye design for some reason. All models come with an 8-inch touchscreen media system, which isn't the easiest to interact with, but it does have Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto available however. And as I mentioned, you get navigation on the top spec and that core model if you pay the extra $500. Now there are a few critical safety items missing that you will want to know about, so stick around, I'll get to them soon. If you're looking to spend less than $20,000 on a brand new car in 2023, well, there are bugger all alternatives to this car, quite frankly. I mean, you could be looking at a Kia Picanto, but it's a fair bit smaller than this car, and so is the Suzuki Ignis, and neither of those might be right for you. Look, if you can stretch your budget just a little bit, I think you should actually be buying yourself a Kia Rio because it's got better safety credential than this car and it's got more space on the inside than this car or any of the others that I've mentioned so far. So maybe have a look at it before you lay your money down on this. But if you do want to find out more about the MG3, keep watching because there's more coming. This car is a fair whack bigger than the likes of the Suzuki Ignis or Kia Picanto, but at just over 4 meters long, it's hardly what you'd call intimidating in terms of size. But it does have one trump at the rump when it comes to those other cars. That's because the MG3 has a big for its size 307-litre cargo capacity, which is bigger than some of those other small cars out there, there's no doubt about that. It's not going to be the sort of car that your friends ask you to help move house with, but that's no bad thing, is it? And there's a space saver spare wheel under the boot floor as well. In terms of the interior, I think it actually looks quite nice in here. I love this etched finish across this plastic trim around the screen. I think it looks really nice. The tartan theme is kind of cool if you ask me. I don't like that it doesn't quite match up where the stitching meets. That's a little attention to detail thing that would annoy me. I don't know if it'd annoy you, but let me know in the comments. There's a leather steering wheel with a few controls here, including cruise control, not adaptive cruise control like some other cars out there. There's a very basic but sort of Audi-ish looking instrument cluster. The font looks like it's borrowed directly from the Audi book of fonts, but there is no digital speedometer, so you'll need to keep that in mind. The controls otherwise are pretty simplistic. There's not a whole lot going on here. You will need to spend a bit of time getting to know this screen. And another thing I wanted to call out is the storage on offer here. So there is one cup holder between the seats and a deeper sort of bottle shaped version that you could fit a bottle in. The door pockets are quite small and it's not necessarily the most practical cabin, but it is a very small car after all. The seats are pretty comfortable, though I will say this seat is quite high up and I find that it's almost like a mini SUV feeling driving this car. You do get a very good view out and some people are going to love that. Now, let's check out the back seat. Let's talk about back seat space in the MG3. This is a small car, but it doesn't feel small in the back, and that is impressive. This seat is set for me I'm 182 centimeters or 6 foot tall, and I've got enough knee room and toe room and even head room to be comfortable back here, although the seat itself isn't that comfortable. It's very flat, but will be well suited to those who are going to put child seats in the back. There are ISOFIX points on both sides, 3 top tether points. You won't fit 3 child seats across, so don't even try, but you will be able to fit a rearward facing baby capsule with someone in front of it without too much discomfort. It's not too bad in that regard. Pretty well packaged, in fact. Although there are some things you need to consider. Getting in and out, if you're taller, you might bump your head, and that's whether you're in the front or the back seat. And storage isn't terrific back here. Yes, you do have dual map pockets, and that's good, but there's nowhere to sort of put your coffee cup, and there's no bottle holders in the doors. I guess you could put it down here because there's no air vents or USB ports in here either. So it is a pretty basic back seat, but surprisingly spacious. There's only one choice of powertrain when it comes to the MG3. It's a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder non-turbocharged petrol engine. So the outputs you see on your screen now may look pretty meager, but this is a light and small car, so it doesn't actually feel that drab on the open road or even around town. Shifting gears is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Yep, that's pretty backwards in 2023, but it is front-wheel drive and very basic, and it gets the job done. Please don't be tricked into thinking that because it has an MG badge that it is a sporty car, because the MG3 is not a sporty car. With its 1.5 litre engine and pretty unsophisticated 4-speed automatic, this isn't going to light the fires of many car enthusiasts out there. Sure, it does get along pretty well. You just have to allow the automatic gearbox to hunt for the right gear a little bit, and it'll do that a fair bit more often than you might expect, even with only 4 gears to choose from. However, it does get along at highway speeds just fine, and I guess you could describe it as kind of zippy around town. My biggest annoyance with this car is the steering, because it's really light at higher speeds but quite heavy at low speeds. In my opinion, probably want it to be the other way around, so it's weightier as you go faster and lighter when you need it to be, when you're parking, for example. But it might take a little bit more arm work than you're expecting when you are parking in a tight spot. Now, this particular MG is borrowed from my mates at MG in Orange in the New South Wales Central West region. And if you haven't heard, there's been quite a lot of rain out this way, and a lot of the roads, like the one I'm driving on right now, are wrecked. There are potholes everywhere. But the MG3, surprisingly, is handling itself quite well over these sort of bumpy roads. And considering it's got such a short wheelbase and it's quite a small and light car, I'm quite impressed with the ride comfort and control. I wouldn't say that it's the last word in refinement or, I guess, cushiness, but it's doing okay. Around town, over sharp bumps, you will feel them, particularly the rear suspension goes up and down quite a bit, and it isn't necessarily as sophisticated as the front end. It isn't the most dynamic car to drive. It doesn't necessarily suck down on the road surface and hang on for dear life in corners. So if you are expecting that kind of experience, then, well, you need to double your budget and buy a hot hatch. The official combined cycle fuel consumption figure for the MG3 is there, 6.7 litres per 100 Ks. Now that's what you should be able to achieve across a mix of different driving scenarios. If you spend more time in town though, you're going to be seeing something closer to the number underneath, which is 9.2 litres per 100 Ks, because this engine isn't as efficient as it could be. So the upfront cost to buy the car might be pretty low, but running it might not be as cheap as you expect, especially if you spend most of your time in the urban environment. At least it has a 45 litre fuel tank, so you should be able to get about 500 Ks per fill. The MG3 is not going to be the right car for you if you want, need, or expect the latest in high-tech safety equipment that could be potentially life-saving to you or other road users. It doesn't have auto emergency braking, lane keeping assist, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, rear auto braking, anything like that. And it does show its age in that regard. That said, it still does have electronic stability control, 6 airbags, a reversing camera and rear parking sensors, but even the little Kia Picanto has auto emergency braking, and so does the Rio, and this thing just doesn't have any of that advanced safety technology. Despite the fact there are so many MG3s on the road today, there still isn't an ANCAP safety rating for this car. There was a Euro ANCAP safety test done on the pre-facelift version years ago, and it only scored 3 stars then, and things have only gotten stricter since then. MG has one of the better ownership programs on the market right now, a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty, which could be enough to seal the deal for you on this particular car or any other MG for that matter. It has a 7-year cap price servicing plan too, but services are due every 12 months or 10,000 kilometres, so only 70,000 Ks of cap price servicing. At least the servicing costs are low at less than $300 per visit. The MG3 is going to be the right car for you if you're on a very strict budget and you really value that 7-year warranty. You will be overlooking some crucial and critical factors, in my opinion. Then again, you could also get a lot of really good used car for $20,000. But tell me what you think in the comment section below. Would you choose an MG3, something used, one of its rivals? Personally, I'd probably be looking at a Kia Rio, but I'd love to know what you think. And if you are still watching, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and the bell icon to keep up to date with everything I've got coming, because there's plenty more in the pipeline. Thanks for watching.